Hello viewers, Jared and Jennifer back to share part 2 of our Northwest Arkansas adventure. But before we dive in, we want to share our Dave and Buster's ticket contest winners. And let me say, most of you voters way overestimated our arcade abilities. Our closest winner, however, was... Now, not long after we closed that, we got a late comment entry, and that person way underestimated our ability. However, they were the closest. So we're going to award them a prize as well.
And just because we don't want the fun and games to end, we're going to go ahead and leave the guessing open. We don't think it's likely, but it's possible somebody may guess the exact amount of tickets that we won. If so, you'll also get a prize.
So viewers, are you ready for the rest of the story? Let's come along.
Where did we leave off in NWA? Oh right, Dave and Buster's in Rogers. With the help of the guy at the prize counter, we added a few extra tickets to our card and ended up with these fabulous prizes. Of course, we would get a game, right? And this Everything is Awesome bell will soon be in the hands of our contest winner. With our prizes in hand and our bellies full, we headed outside where there were vendors set up peddling their wares. We took a stroll around and saw some really amazing art and jewelry. We stopped to sample some beef jerky and ended up with these amazing chocolate-covered coffee beans with toffee. Made with Gallo de Oro coffee beans manufactured by Medina's Tri-Tip Company. They are so good. We are going to have to order some more. With that, we headed to the car and on to our next stop, Crystal Bridges.
Crystal Bridges, a museum of American art in Fayetteville, Arkansas, officially opened on November 11th, 2011. It was founded by Alice Walton, daughter of Sam Walton of Walmart. It offers free public admission along with free parking. The neat thing about it is it's set on over 200,000 square feet of land. This complex includes multiple galleries, classrooms, and meeting spaces with outdoor trails, along with a restaurant and a coffee shop. In addition, Crystal Bridges has an assortment of activities all year round, from live music, featured artist displays, and sometimes exclusive exhibit experiences that may require a paid ticket.
On this visit, it was a bit crowded, and it took us a minute to even locate a parking spot. But taking advantage of the weather, we decided to start outside and enjoy some of the art along the multiple trails. And one of the coolest exhibits outside is the Bachman-Wilson House by Frank Lloyd Wright. According to the website, you can take a self-guided tour for no additional charge, but the guided small group tours do cost a little bit extra. You need a ticket regardless because they do restrict how many people can be inside. They even sometimes have cocktail night events where you get to learn about how to make a drink while learning more about Frank Lloyd Wright's design.
It is pretty cool. That sounds like our kind of event.
When I was a kid, I used to check out books on Frank Lloyd Wright from the library and just look at them for hours. I loved how his designs so intentionally incorporated nature, and I just found them to be beautiful. He inspired me to want to pursue the study of architecture, which I did, until I had an instructor tell me that I would never design houses as an architect, but rather office buildings and strip malls instead. A young and disillusioned version of me then took a different path, which led me here today.
I'm glad. Speaking of Frank Lloyd Wright, isn't there a new Airstream design inspired by this famous man?
Why, yes, there is, and I love it. From what I've seen, there are some unique design elements for Airstream, like the portal windows on the entrance and the bathroom doors, and the additional windows that they have. Plus, there's an added emphasis on the lighting and added versatility to the spaces, like the dining table to desk space and the twin beds to king bed in the back. There's also the back hatch that opens up so that you can fully enjoy the outdoor space while still being inside the camper. Unfortunately, these are limited editions and only 200 are being made. Plus, they're a bit outside our budget. But you never know. Maybe there will be a used one for sale by the time we're ready to make full-time RVing a reality.
Yeah, you never know. Meanwhile, back in Bentonville, it was getting hot, so we decided to head inside the museum.
But not before stopping to take in Candy Lee and the backyard bugs.
Well, I was hanging out, looking at the leaves, when I saw one walk along.
They were pretty hilarious. We walked through some of the permanent exhibits that we had seen before, and we saw some new exhibits that we hadn't. One of the free and probably most unusual experiences we encountered was the Yoko Ono cut piece exhibit. Originally filmed in New York City back in 1964, Yoko Ono's performance art piece involved the audience, who were invited to use scissors to cut pieces of her clothing as souvenirs while she sat on the stage. The almost 10 minutes of film was on display in their gallery, and it was interesting to watch how many people responded differently to the rather vague instructions she gave. If you've never taken the time to check out Crystal Bridge's venue, I highly recommend fitting it into your schedule if you're near Northwest Arkansas.
I would take it a step further and say it's a must-see if you're in the area. And check out the website to see what upcoming events or exhibits they have in store during your visit. After our Crystal Bridges experience, we were ready for a beverage and a snack, so we ventured to Fayetteville.
Flyway Brewing Company in Fayetteville is a casual brew pub with a birds in flight theme. It serves pizza, sandwiches, and other snacks and apps, along with craft beer and mixed drinks. This brewery is on the Ale Trail. However, it was closed the last time we visited the area, but not this time. Jennifer and I sat at the bar and enjoyed some spicy cheese curds along with a flight of beers. The staff were busy serving customers with a local ball game on the tube. However, they got us a new Ale Trail passport book since we forgot ours at home, and we added their stamp to that passport. The Ale Trail in Northwest Arkansas is what I had talked about earlier. Here's kind of a general map that shows some of the different locations that are in the area in Northwest Arkansas. Inside, there are over 20 different breweries you can get a chance to explore and see. As you could tell, some of these we've hit, some of these have actually closed and changed names. However, if you are able to get all of them, you can actually turn them in and get some prize from like their visitor organization. So definitely something to explore.
This is one of a very few breweries on the Fayetteville Ale Trail where I liked all of the craft beers we sampled in our flight. So that says something.
It does. We did discover while browsing the new passport that Social Project Brewing Company had been added to the Ale Trail passport. Dang it! Looks like we'll have to go back to the brewery again to get our stamp. The bartender at Flyway was also kind enough to confirm the name of the mysterious, unnamed speakeasy that Blake, not Lively, had mentioned back at Dave and Buster's. With our flight of beers sampled, we decided to return to our room at Spark Hotel to freshen up, watch some MMA, and use the bedside phone chargers a bit before heading out to see if we could locate the elusive speakeasy.
Back in Rogers, we located Onyx Coffee and blindly followed some other people around to the side of the building and up a flight of stairs to an unmarked door. Once inside, we were immersed in a retro cool vibe with vinyls playing and limited light. We were greeted, seated, and took in this unique venue.
This shadowy upstairs loft felt like a throwback to a different era. Tiny, low-watt lamps rested on our small table while we reviewed their food and drink menus, crafted to look like a vinyl record in its jacket. Jazzed-up cocktails reminiscent of the 30s and 40s, along with unusual pizzas, are their specialties. Our server was happy to make recommendations, and we settled on their pomegranate barbecue chicken pizza. Jennifer also sampled the Thai one-on cocktail, while I stuck with the Asahi beer. Their menu may seem somewhat limited, but it changes often, so it's worth revisiting to see what's new. Pinky Swear is a stop to experience, either before you get things rolling for your night of entertainment, or perhaps after to chill with a nightcap and some fine music. This venue may not be up everyone's alley, however, it's worth a shot, maybe two.
Following our super smooth speakeasy experience, we set out on foot to see what other interesting things the evening might have in store for us. We heard music coming from Pub on the Bricks and ventured inside. The place was packed, and when we walked in, there was a rousing version of Man of Constant Sorrow from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It was quite entertaining, and though it wasn't the Japanese karaoke that Blake, not lively, at Dave & Buster's recommended, it was up there as some of the best karaoke I've seen. And among the entertainers, there was a woman who may or may not have been from Japan, who sang some excellent rock and roll covers. We enjoyed it so much that we ended up hanging out there for quite some time before taking in the sights on the walk back to our vehicle and then heading back to the hotel to call it a night.
During our very first visit together in NWA, I came across a local magazine that talked about this airport cafe in Bentonville. The journalists talked up the history of the airstrip, its tasty food and drinks, and made mention that it also might be haunted. That was enough for me to pencil in Louise Cafe on our dance card for brunch that very next day. Located at the Thaden Fieldhouse Airstrip, Louise Cafe is an everyday 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. upscale joint that grants its patrons great views of private planes taking off and landing. From breakfast tacos, upscale chicken and waffles to chorizo potato burritos, this place has some yummy food and terrific cocktails. What makes it all shine, though, is the view. Like an open-air aviary, you don't know what private planes or jets will come in that day and grace the airstrip before powering back up and heading back skyward. Jennifer and I had been there twice, and each time we enjoy it.
And on this day, it wasn't too crowded for brunch at 10:30. We were able to sit at the bar, which didn't offer a great view. The food was fine, the drinks were good, and the view was great once we finished our meal and explored other parts of the venue. We watched a couple of private jets come in, one waiting to pick up some passengers, and one where the pilot disembarked for probably 5 minutes or less. Less time than it took to park the plane, and definitely less time than it took to power it up and take off again. We joked that he maybe should stop at the gift shop/store to purchase an item that would make his flight plan more efficient. Anyway, Louise Cafe is a very cool place, and we highly recommend you add this to your list next time you're in the area.
It's true.
There goes, nose up.
Well, that about wraps up our ventures in Northwest Arkansas this time around, friends. We hope that you got some ideas for some fun things to do and see on your next visit. And if you've never been, this is definitely a worthwhile location to set your GPS for. Jennifer and I like this area so much, we know we'll be spending some time here should we become full-time RVers.
Yes, and we're not the only ones. Rogers was voted the #1 place to live in Arkansas for 2025-26, according to U.S. News. Springdale was #2, and Fayetteville #3. Doing a little search with the Google, it looks like there are plenty of RV parks in the area. From Hog Valley RV and Treehouse Resort in Fayetteville, which appears to range from $40 to $64 per night for an RV site, to the Creeks Golf and RV Resort further north, advertising to be the only true RV resort in NWA at $65 per night. There's also some interesting harvest host sites, including a farm in Bentonville with electric hookups and the opportunity to extend your stay for up to a week. Another fun one that came up was at an airport hangar in Fayetteville. So it looks like there's plenty of options. Where do you like to stay in NWA? What RV campgrounds do you like the best in this area?
Or what other recommendations do you have for cool places to stay or visit in Northwest Arkansas? We're certain to visit again before our time frame become full-timers, and we love to hear from you, so please comment below. Also, if you learned something new from our video or you were briefly entertained, feel free to click on the thumbs up and subscribe to see what we've got coming up next.
Thanks so much for coming along on our journey with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.